Well, today we want to recognize her for her commitment to her hometown and support for its elevation to statehood. So, on behalf of DC Vote, I present the Champion of Democracy Award to Ambassador Susan Rice. Congratulations, Ambassador Rice.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Claudia, for that generous introduction. And thank you, Bo, John, and the entire board and staff of DC Vote for this award. It's a real honor to be with you this evening and to share the 2020 Champion of Democracy Award with Speaker Pelosi, Mayor Bowser, and Chef Jose Andres, each remarkable leaders and colleagues who have set the highest standard for what it means to be a public servant. But before I say anything further, I want to recognize the true champions of democracy, the volunteers, the supporters, the organizers, and advocates who are dedicated to the efforts of DC Vote and the whole coalition of organizations in this movement. You are a key part of the ongoing struggle for voting rights that's played out throughout the history of this country. And there's no greater legacy to contribute to and no greater source of inspiration for the work that we must all continue to do. As Claudia said, I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. This is the city that welcomed my parents in the 1960s and gave them opportunities that seemed impossible just one generation before. This is the city where I went to school, got my first summer job, built my career, and have raised my own family. This is the city I call simply home. So for me and for hundreds of thousands of proud DC residents, the issue of statehood has always been personal. It's about basic fairness. It's about equal protection under the law. Having a say in who represents us and how our tax dollars are spent, and abolishing a system that creates a second class of citizenship right at the heart of the world's greatest democracy. But the truth is, DC statehood should be a personal issue to every American who believes in the democratic foundations of our nation, regardless of where they live or what political party they belong to. H.R. 51 passed by 232 members of the House from coast to coast, and yet it's sitting right now still on Mitch McConnell's desk. The people of DC have affirmed their desire for statehood at the ballot box and followed the very same blueprint that states from Tennessee to Michigan and Oregon have used to achieve equal representation. Yet our call for basic civil rights continues to be denied. The arguments against statehood, built on the bedrock of Reconstruction era racism and buttressed by modern day partisanship, are a sad reflection of a politics that puts power over people. Beyond even the fundamental questions of fairness and equality, we have to look no further than this past summer, as we've been discussing, to understand why statehood is so vital. When President Trump and Attorney General Barr used largely peaceful protests as a pretext to launch a military occupation of our streets, they not only abused their authority in the district, but directly endangered our citizens. Without statehood, we were powerless to stop them. But I remain so proud of the Washingtonians that in the face of harassment and intimidation, we stood strong. We raised our voices even louder and refused to be goaded into violence. The scenes that played out in our city were a showdown between those fighting peacefully to strengthen our democracy and those determined to weaken it. And thankfully, democracy prevailed. That resilience, energy, and spirit that we demonstrated to the world must persist. Momentum is on our side, and now is the time to double down. We have a chance to elect a new Senate that is more supportive of the expansion and protection of voting rights here in DC and across the country. And your continued efforts and advocacy can make a meaningful difference. So thank you again to DC Vote and everyone in this movement for this honor. I'm deeply moved by it. And most importantly, I want to thank you for all the work you do and will continue to do on behalf of all Washingtonians and all Americans. Thank you very much.